Could be, all right, well, maybe that's,
Our whole family, we all have it. Written in that. And my father, they all. My dad's original one was stolen.
good to go.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Shamong Township Committee meeting of July 1, 2025. Thank you all for coming out on this rainy night. We appreciate it. Sue, do you want to read the sunshine statement, please?
Please be advised, proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act.
And the roll call, please.
Mr. Diamond?
Here.
Mr. DeCroce?
Here.
Ms. Mazitis?
Here.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Here.
And Mr. Woods is absent tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. While you're standing, I'd like to just make an announcement about John Chevalou. John was our mayor for he was involved for 9 or 10 years here, our mayor for 7 years. He passed away on June 12th after a long battle with cancer. So we want to pay our respects to his wife Maggie and his 3 children, Curtis, Sammy, and Leah. He was involved in the Joint Land Use Board. He coached a lot of baseball here. He was involved in the IMAA, did a lot of work at the fields, and I know that's a topic that we're going to discuss tonight. He was really quite the character. He would come in his red baseball cap, and he was very down to earth, and he served our town and loved our town. So I'd like to remember him and send our love and prayers out to his family and ask for a moment of silence. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, next we're going to, we were at the South Jersey State Police station today for a ceremony honoring their 70th ceremony or celebration for the Red Lion Station. At that time, we honored 2 troopers. One is Wayne Blanchard. He's now the president of the union, and Ed Long, who is the commander. So, Trooper, I made you a commander. Trooper Karen, please come on up. And these proclamations were read into the record today. Please come up on the dais. We appreciate you being here, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
So on behalf of Shamong Township and recognizing Lieutenant Edward Long and Wayne Blanchard and the New Jersey State Police of Red Lion State Police Barracks for 70 years of service to the community of Shamong, and by opening the Red Lion Station Barracks located on Route 206, your dedicated members of the New Jersey State Police have served the community of Southampton, Tabernacle, and Woodland. We are very excited to be working with you. We appreciate everything that you've done for us. We'd like you to be gentle with the people that live in Shamong, but for those that are not here, we have no ability, we love that you get them out of here and take care of business. So with that, I've already given these proclamations, to your gentlemen there, to troopers, and we appreciate you coming.
Sure.
And I'd like to open the floor to you at this point. You can bring us up to speed as to what you're working on. And then if you want to leave, Trooper, that would be fine.
Pretty much everyone's just aware, obviously, with 10 Woodgate. It's just obviously no secret, everything that we have going on there, which is obviously great help that we have from the church, that I was able to speak with some of the pastors that are there, and all the individuals that are still in the area of the neighborhood have been super kind and helpful with getting a lot of the information that we need to kind of just go in this great state of New Jersey where it's so hard to do everything we want to do. Unfortunately, this isn't Georgia and we can't just pit everyone out and get everyone that we want to. But obviously, if individuals saw the Red Lion Station, what we have working today, obviously you saw the list and all the information that we gathered. Obviously, I don't want to put that out into the public realm. But more than what you believe, we're working. I know it's obviously everyone wants results, and I totally understand that, everything that I can. And everyone that I work with, I try to at least explain just where our hands are tied. But it's not just Red Lion. There's several other units in the state police that are aware of the situation. Obviously, everyone knows back in September, obviously what occurred at 10 Woodgate, and obviously when the house got hit, it's no surprise, it's public information, everyone speaks on it. And those same units are still working again, obviously to gather more information that we can, building to where we need to go to, and obviously act and get the results that we do want. So I just want to speak on behalf of, we're still working, and we appreciate everyone at least reaching out to us, calling the station when something goes down. If something is going down and I'm at the station, I'm immediately running right down there. And in addition to several property checks where I'm just running around trying to look for different things and then speaking with neighbors and giving me more information, I'm all for it. I'm all ears, and then everyone else is all ears too. Everyone's pretty much just fed up and tired with the property in and of itself, and we just want to get a resolution. There's no secret out on it. So I appreciate everyone here, at least in Shamong, to speak on it, and to just continuing giving us more information and just getting us obviously out there to try to handle what we can.
Yeah, there is a level of frustration that you're aware of, and we appreciate you're doing what you
course.
can.
Of course.
And I know that there's been a great presence of the state police, marked and unmarked, so we appreciate
Yes, sir,
what you
absolutely.
guys are doing. This will be a little out of turn, but since I don't want to keep Trooper Curran here longer than he needs to be, if anybody has any questions or comments of him at this point, I'll open up the meeting and just remind you that we don't have a time limit here in Shamong. A lot of places, they say you have 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So just be respectful of everyone here and just try and keep your comments as brief as possible. Anyone have any questions or comments of the trooper? Please come up and identify yourself and you will be heard. Okay, great. So seeing and hearing none, thank you, Trooper. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And in the same regard, I hope that if I see you guys again today or tonight, call me. I'll be working 12 hours and I'll be easily out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Trooper.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, next, I just want to acknowledge the school graduations that we had in town. The one at IMMS was another success, a really spectacular, good weather. Last year, it was a storm like tonight that we almost got caught in. So congratulations to all the students that have graduated. Some of you have heard that there have been a number of break-ins in towns around Shamong. We did send out an email blast about 3 weeks ago. Last Friday night in Medford, there were another 12 cars that were broken into and 1 car that was stolen out of someone's parking lot. So I'd like to just remind everybody to make sure you lock your doors. So far, they're not breaking windows. They're just going in open cars and then looking for keys, accessing your house via the garage, which is the opener. So I just want you to be aware. If they come in your house, maybe they won't be leaving. So, but I want you just to know about what the heck's going on so we don't get caught and we stop this. I've talked to the troopers about this at length. And, you know, as I say in my note, in my 34 years in Shamong, we've never had a criminal problem in Shamong. The police are sometimes 20 minutes away. So be prepared to protect your family, protect your property. If you have the wherewithal, I would suggest that you put up a motion sensor camera. Lock your doors and just be aware of what may be coming, you know, your way. They have come in people's houses at night, so it's pretty brazen. So I want you to be aware of that. Also, couple more things. One is open trails. For those of you who are aware, in Wharton State Forest, we've been fighting to keep those trails open and free and accessible. We don't want any fees. There have been a number of road closings without our approval. In fact, we've gone public and I've met with the officials telling them that they did not have the authority to close the roads in Shamong. Evidently, they've done that. They've dropped trees and they've closed roads. And I understand that there are more than 20 cameras, which the NJDEP has now installed on various trees, which I find absolutely horrendous. So I just want to make you aware of that. If you don't know of the Open Trails NJ, please look them up on the web and see if you can support them. Let's get this in check and not have more bureaucrats taking over, you know, our property. And lastly, an update on the circle. It looks like there's going to be a hearing at the Pinelands Commission on July 11th, I believe at 9 a.m. You can access that by the web. You can just go online and check that date. Usually they meet the second or third Friday of the month, and this year they're changing it up, I guess, because of the July 4th holiday. So with that, I'm going to open up the meeting to public comment for any agenda items. Anybody have any questions or comments? Please come up front, identify yourself, and you will be heard.
Also, there's a couple of empty seats up front here, so if anybody wants to grab them.
Good evening,
Good evening,
Mr.
Chris.
Mayor, Council. My name is Chris Thomas. I am at 8 Woodgate Drive. You have been hearing from myself and other neighbors for months. And since the last time you heard from me specifically, things in the neighborhood, I know you heard from the trooper, things in the neighborhood have been relayed to you on a private nature, private nuisance, a neighbor living next door nuisance. What I'd like to present to you this evening is it's now a public nuisance. There are many people sitting in this room tonight and standing in this room that are not comfortable to come up here. Because the last time I spoke, it was published in the Pinelands Tribune, and the homeowner, by admission, felt it necessary to then harass and attempted intimidation of myself and another neighbor. There are people that did not attend this evening because they still are not comfortable even attending a forum like this, where our elected representatives who are in a position to hear our concerns, they don't feel comfortable doing that. This is not a distant town. This is not something that you see on television or read in a newspaper or a fancy Facebook post that's meant to get click going. This is our town. A town that I have lived in my entire life for 48 years, and people sitting behind me that have lived in it far longer. People living in our neighborhood from the very creation of McKendeman Woods are seated behind me. We now have neighbors in my
Okay, we're back online, everybody. We apologize for the delay. Judy, good evening. Say your name for the record.
Judy Shahinian, 102 Willow Grove Road in Shamong. I'm the brick house on the corner, and I'm really happy to see many people here, although I haven't been able to get this many people here, about supporting us in stopping this circle that they perceive to be wanting to put here right in the corner, which means the value of my home and the property of the township and the property of the gentleman across the street is going to be cut in half as far as value. I did hear from an attorney recently who said, well, they're moving ahead regardless of the Pinelands decision, which I was surprised at, saying, you know, that I won't be getting any kind of financial reimbursement for the decrease in the value of my home now that I'm going to be sitting on a circle. That's very disheartening to me, because when I look it up online, townships that take property and decrease the value of your home, like significantly, this is going to happen. When I purchased the home 4 years ago, I was never told about this circle. I would have never bought this home. So I was kind of scammed into buying it and stuck with the fact that I'm going to be living on a circle. I think everybody should be frustrated about this. It's a small country town, and to spend $2.5 million on a circle just doesn't seem important to me. There's so many other things that could be done with that money in the township. So I guess they are moving ahead regardless of the Pinelands, because they hired attorneys to do an estimate, which they came. I didn't even know they came, so they didn't even come in the house to see all the upgrades. So they're looking at old pictures when I've done a significant amount of work. And now I just feel so disappointed in the whole system. Like, it doesn't even matter what the Pinelands is going to say. It seems like, because they're moving ahead and going forward with, you know, approaching us saying what they're going to give and what they're not going to give.
All right, so for those who are not familiar with the circle, or as the state county likes to call it, the roundabout, this has been going on since 2016. So we've been able to keep this at bay. As I've said many times, we don't want it. We don't need it. They originally came out and said the circle was going to cost $20 million. When I came out against that, they called me up to the county and said that I was mistaken, that it was $2 million. I said, well, I don't really care if it's 2 million or 20 million. We don't need a circle at this location. So anybody that drives here, please stop and look. We suggested all of the common sense things, put a four-way stop sign in, put a blinking stop sign in, put up a blinking red light as we have at our busier intersection right at the Wawa in my law firm right there on Oak Shade and Indy Mills. Lower the speed limit, put rumble strips in, a number of things. So, if anyone can support Judy, that would be great. Write a letter to the Pinelands Commission. I understand that there was a endangered moth that was found on the property, and believe it or not, that may be enough to stop the project further. Well, so if you can support your neighbor, I understand her, and I think it's just the most stupid thing in the world that they're going to waste this money in our town, where the next thing will be, let me see how fast I can go around the circle, because nobody's there.
And out, till 12 o'clock at night, you hear the tires screeching, and they go down the road, they come back, they do it again, it's like, people live here, what is wrong with you?
Okay, so if anyone can support Judy, has any particular expertise in this area, reach out for the Pinelands Commission. We've done that already, and we're doing everything we can to avoid the necessity of having a circle that we don't want and we don't need, and it's a waste of our money. They tell me, just don't worry about it, Mike. It's not your money. It's coming from the federal government. And that's the big, that's why our country is in the shape it's in. So if you have any interest or expertise, please support Judy, and we'll do what we can, continue to do what we can. I can't imagine that they're just going to not obey what the Pinelands Commission says, and I'll throw it over to my solicitor for his off-the-cuff opinion as to what would happen if the county decides to build when the Pinelands Commission says you can't build.
Yeah, I will only say, first of all, this is a county intersection, so the county, it's their jurisdiction. They do have to do like everybody else, they have to go through the outside agency approval process. That includes Pinelands. We have tried to do things at the township level. Before the cemetery is where it is, we looked at other locations and that didn't work for Pinelands, so we ended up where we ended up. We've talked about road improvements that had to be put on the shelf because of Pinelands issues or costs that would have been so extensive that it made the project untenable. So I can certainly we can follow up with the county and see what's going on with the Pinelands issue, but in my opinion, that agency approvals are required approvals, so they're going to have to get through that process.
Okay, thank you, Doug. I agree with that as well. So I can't imagine they're just going to say we're going to do it and be able to get away with that. So there are 8 years, at least 8 years they've been working on this, and hopefully it'll be 8 more years that we're still talking about it, and they'll go on to bigger and better projects and find something else to waste our money on. Okay, anybody else have any comments? Yes, sir. Hi, good evening.
Hi. Sir,
Tell us your name, please, for the record.
I'm sorry, John Longshaw, 11 Woodgate Drive, used to be court, so you owe me $750, because that's what Joe Burketto charged me for.
I got you.
You're well aware of that kind of thing. I just want to say that on behalf of the two gentlemen, they're on either side of that hill. When I moved here in June of '77, my neighbor was the second settlement in McKendeman Woods. This lady was the first settlement, her home in McKendeman Woods. I was the third. We saw the 140 home plus developed, and we were thrilled. So thrilled that a truck came by with furniture, and we bought the furniture to put out on the court. And we put that redwood on it, we had a good old time.
Mhm.
And we used to sit there and look over at the hill. The hill was the most beautiful property in our development, bar none. Joe Burketto's property wasn't as nice as that hill. Who would ever believe, just like you said about this circle? Who would ever believe? But it happens. And it happens, and a lot of time we're caught. And I won't say with our pants down because it's not us. It's sometimes the state and the bureaucracy of the federal government. I understand that. But to be honest with you, people, it's difficult. For me, I'm going from here to junior mechanics. I'm 82 years old. My wife's 82. My kid's got the house already. And he's going to make sure we get the cemetery. But what about the people that are going to move out of here and their equity? What are they supposed to do when they don't get what someone else gets? I was at one other meeting in Shamong, and I think it was over at the Memorial School. And it had to do with property. And the guy is describing, he said, oh, this property's beautiful. He's going on to tell me it's the only one I was ever in before this one. And this one here is not, it's this, it's not that, it's trashy. What do you think's going to be the higher taxed home? And I said, well, that makes a lot of sense, but they're neighbors. And they're paying the same taxes. And they're not going to have the same equity. And I know you guys know that. My brother-in-law had a farm in Ohio, older home farm, 3.5 acres. He got a summons because he had a broken window in the basement. There are homeowners associations. I'm not saying we can do that. But every one of you sitting here know quite well, I don't have any problem because I'm going nowhere but the grave. But there's people sitting here and everything that, Chris is a teacher. I know what that is. I spent 37 years in Cinnaminson. And it's easy for me with a pension and medical paid to live here, but it's not for the average person. And these guys are putting all they've got into their places like you and I are too. And what happens? Bureaucracy comes along and takes it from us. There's got to be a way to fight it. And I wish I knew the answer to that, gentleman, and I don't, and ladies. I don't. I wish I did. But I will tell you this right now. You can understand the frustration not only Chris has, but anyone would have as I'm watching, because the state police have been in my driveway too. Watch, I said, you stay here as long as you want, stay as long. I said, I'll get out of your way. You do whatever you need. But that home is ridiculous. It's utterly foolish what Chris has to put up with. And the other gentleman on the other side in that bi-level, their backyards join that house. And it's what they've been telling me. I couldn't stand it. I'm across the street. I don't get the smells, the odors, and all the other stuff that goes with it. But that's not what you pay taxes for in this state at all. You're very concerned about it, and so am I. So this is my only last speech, and I just want to say I'm trying to empathize with everybody because I know you're empathizing with us. This is a beautiful community to live in. My granddaughter's trying to come down here and get a home, and she wants to look at a house in Shamong because it's great property. We have great value. But something like this, if it goes on, could destroy us. And we do need to fight for these. We need to fight for our people because they are, every one of us important. They pay taxes like anybody else, and they want to have their equity as all of us do. I only wanted to say that because, gentlemen, I love this community. I've lived here 48 years. I love raising my son, who's now 51. He's living in Medford, not a mile from me, with 5 grandchildren we've got. And I loved it. It's great to live here. But I hope you'll remember that Chris is frustrated. I would be too. If I was going to sell my house, I'd be very frustrated. My son's going to take it. He can short sell it, and it's all gravy train to him. But not for people who are trying to get the equity to retire somewhere else, because as one fellow said in the barbershop, and we were discussing the subject, said, yeah, you come here, you work here, you leave here. There's truth to that statement. It's difficult, retired, to live here. So I pray you guys, I love you. I'm sorry to take your time, but I can understand how Chris feels. He's a good man, and so is my other neighbor. I just wish we could resolve it somehow, and I hope you'll think hard on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Anybody else want to share anything at this time? I was just ready to say seeing, hearing, and nothing.
He's
Hi, welcome.
Valentine, 3 Sandstone Court. Everybody here knows me. I've been here quite a few times. So from a township perspective, this house on the hill, what I have a problem with, and I do hold our township completely responsible, it's not the police. It's a junkyard. They throw trash down the hill of their property. It's disgusting. And the down backhoe is still there. Multiple motorized vehicles that leak oil and whatever fluids come from those. And I hold the township responsible. I know the police are trying to do their stuff, and I just don't understand why either one of them are still not locked up in jail, because the criminal activities are a constant, and it's multiple. It wasn't just the drug dealing or the cooking the meth and all the other things that they do over there. It's a constant changing criminal enterprise. It's just the way they live. So I understand the police are working on that, but I don't understand why I got a summons from this town and I had to move my stupid plastic shed around to the back of my
property that was color coordinated and matched my house for that matter. And I couldn't get just a 4-week delay without having a fine because my husband broke his toe. So I still had to move it and the township really just didn't care. And the guy, whatever his name is, that gave me the summons, that was really not very understanding or nice that we wanted a 4-week delay. But they still have a junkyard and that's okay. They put up that porch, but they didn't get any clearance on that. I had a legitimate company come and replace my heater and I had to go about the right steps to get that approved. But they don't have to do any of that and that's okay, but I do. And I hold the township responsible for that. So I'm really displeased. Nothing has happened since I've been coming here. And again, this is like my 4th or 5th meeting. And I just don't understand. Some neighbors get fines and problems from the township when you keep your property nice and take care of your things, but a junkyard is okay. So
Let me see if I can shed a little light on that.
just had to share that.
Yeah, I'm happy that you did. I know the problem. I was very upset when I heard that your neighbors were getting violations. The reason that was done is that that neighbor, I understand, and the neighbor we're talking about complained. So she's complaining that your shed's too close or this shed is here. And so our violations, our zoning officer was between a rock and a hard place. If he didn't issue violations for everybody else, the violations against her would not stand. Now, let me talk about the violations. It's been transferred from Medford to Judge Lang because of a conflict, and now it's out in Mansfield with Judge Montalto. There have been, I think, 3 or 4 hearings. She wanted to get her own lawyer. She fired her lawyer. She wanted to get a court-appointed lawyer. She fired a court-appointed lawyer. The judge has been very patient with her. I think he's reached the end of his patience. I'm talking about Sue would have been on there, and our solicitor, Steve, would have been on for hours waiting for this case to be heard. It's again scheduled. Do we know the date? Is it July something, 17th or something?
Why just the original?
Well, wait your turn, ma'am. In any event, we're waiting for that, to wind its way. And that's something we don't have control of, but Sue has been there and Ed Toussaint has been there and our solicitor's
Oh,
been there.
that's him, Ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand your frustration because we actually had a meeting on this because I was not happy about how this was playing out.
So it's
People,
Thursday the 17th.
Thursday the 17th, so
This is how many times it's been rescheduled? 4 or 5?
4 or 5 times.
Like generically, that's insane.
Yeah, it is crazy, but it's not something that we have control of, right? So, and the judge is doing the best he can, and she's playing the game just like those other neighbors are. They know they've been in and out of jail, as I understand it. They know the system. And so, but we're going to get it done. Now, I've offered to Chris, if you want, I'll come over. Let's have a neighborhood barbecue at the time that these people are riding around your neighborhood. And let's have a little baseball game out there. And all right. So we'll do everything the right way. And I understand your frustration. I was there in your neighborhood again today. I drive through there a lot. I have the police there a lot. We have people that now have Ed Long's cell phone number. He's the commander. Can text him when you see the stuff going on. They're obviously, I think, bringing their drugs on the ATVs, dropping them off at the woods or at Wawa, and we're going to get them. It's just going to take some time, and they're playing the system. So I don't say it by way of excuse, just by way of explanation that we're doing what we can do. We want to get that place cleaned up. We'd like for those people to move on and go to North Philadelphia, wherever they want to go, and get out of Shamong.
I hear you, but again, I think it's pretty sad that I couldn't have a 4-week extension to move my plastic shed.
I agree, and it was in the winter time as well.
Care.
Yeah, I'm not
And
happy about
we're
that.
good pack, we're taxpayers. We've been there a long time. We don't cause any problems, but they don't have to clean up the junkyard and I had to move my shed. I just find it unacceptable.
Understand.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Anybody else?
Timothy McGarvey, 4 Sandstone Court.
Hi, Tim.
I actually thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it, counsel. I want to touch on that. And have you guys reached out to I know Brian Woods was going to look into contacting the DEP about that front end loader that could possibly be leaking fluids
He did.
into. Okay. And was there a resolution
Not
for
yet,
that?
no, but they're looking into it.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I think it's amazing they want to go close over 400 miles of Wharton State Forest, but when you have an actual, like, real problem
Mm.
of a front end loader leaking oil and hydraulic oil and motor oil into a easement, or potentially, isn't that a watershed?
I would say yes.
Yes. So, yeah, I just didn't know if you guys had followed up on that yet or
We
not.
haven't heard back from them, but they've been advised.
Well, okay, maybe I'll have to go visit one of their cameras and let them know again.
Thanks, Dave. Anybody else before we close this portion to the public comment? No, we're pretty liberal with that. What?
So first of all, I want to reiterate the
Who
point.
are you?
Oh, Heather McGarvey for Sandstone Court. I live in the Nightmare neighborhood with all my neighbors who, I'm so glad to see so many people come out. But once again, I want to ask that question again. Why no new violations?
Well, they are the same violations.
No. They're the violations they were charged with. There's other violations.
Okay,
they have
here's what to do.
ongoing.
I don't mean to cut you short. Contact our zoning officer and report the existing violations, and if they're there,
I've done that via email with pictures.
all right, I'll check it out and see what I can learn.
My next thing would be, I have another thing to discuss about is the IMAA situation. I am the resident, me and Jim Sweet are the resident advisors for the committee, for the recreational committee for Shamong Township Sports, the IMAA. So it's been brought to our attention a lot of issues, and we sent a letter to you guys suggesting a few things that should be maybe examined, since we have a lot of funds that are going in to redo the fields. We had several requests, including a financial audit of IMAA. We have the local rec program has been degraded terribly. My children, along with several other children in our townships, have to go play in other towns because the travel teams have taken over our fields, including one that isn't domiciled in Shamong, and that I have an issue with. Our taxpayers' money funds these fields, and it should be for the Shamong kids. There's quite a few safety, liability, and permit violations going on out there that I think that need to be addressed. I'm not quite sure, I looked through our ordinances of what our power actually is, and I mean, basically, we're like a regulatory arm of the town committee to oversee IMAA. So I'm trying to get some clarity on, and I'll probably have to reach out to Doug to find out real clarity. We have tournaments going on that we don't have proper certificates on, that only name IMAA as hold harmless and not Shamong Township. I mean, I see a lot of issues. There hasn't been a proper election of officers at IMAA in years. And the fact is, the rec program is totally, I mean, there's many age groups that have no teams. When we can't have 9 and 10-year-old boys play baseball here, they all got to go to Tabernacle to play. There's a problem with the way it's being run. And I really think something needs to be done at the township level.
Thank you for all the work that you've done on this, and Jim Sweet as well. I think there are a number of issues there. I've been up to the fields to take a look at what's going on. I've instructed our administrator, Sue Honorato, to have new doors put in, new locks put in. I was told that if you put locks on there, they come up with bolt cutters and they cut them. So we're going to install some cameras and see if we can figure out, maybe we can get the cameras from the Wharton State Park. And we'll figure out who's, doing the damage there, as well as I have concerns about the lights being left on all times of the night. So we're going to try and get control of that, and we'll take a look at the issues. I understand, acknowledge receipt of your letter, which was very comprehensive. Thank you, Mr. Sweet, as well. Let's follow the money, find out where the money's going, and anybody that's out of town should be paying for our fields to use them. And our Shamong kids should be able to use those fields first before out of towners. So we'll look into those issues. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Good evening.
Good evening. Phil Pulio, 40 Millstone. I'm also on the IMA board. You guys want to jump up here too? If not, we got a few of us here. Those were some pretty harsh allegations that Ms. McGarvey shared there. Did I hear you say that there's new doors, new locks,
Well, there's going to
and
be a,
new cameras coming?
well, we're going to try and was the door repaired yet? So,
We put locks up.
New locks?
And most of the locks went on the actual power boxes because some of the supplies are in some of those sheds over there. So we
Okay.
locked up the power.
And I
On the-
also heard you mention lights being left on all
Yes,
times
sir.
of the night. We have not had that been addressed in 2025 yet from the township. Has that report come into the township?
It hasn't been reported to me. no.
Yeah, okay. I don't think anybody on the IMA board would be concerned with a financial audit. If that was a request, we've never met with the STRAC, never been requested for that information. The first outreach we had was for a meeting on June 12th, which we did meet with Ms. McGarvey and some other individuals in town to discuss concerns specifically about the fields and the rec program. So I don't think anyone here is concerned about a financial audit, and we would welcome that. Just, is that an official request from the township for us to turn anything over?
I think it would be a good idea. Who is getting the money? So if there's a tournament there, are you guys involved in that tournament?
Not always. We're notified of it.
You're notified.
It goes to the IMA board.
Got it. And are the teams that are using the fields on these tournaments, the weekend tournaments, do they pay a fee to IMMA?
They pay a fee and register to use, and then we collect certificate of insurance. The money does not always come through to us. It depends on who's running the tournament as well.
Okay. How about the issue of whether or not the Shamong players can have the field, access to the field before out-of-towners?
Yeah,
Well,
that's,
That's a layered question. The Pirates and,
well, I think he's referring to out-of-town organizations first.
oh, okay.
The Pirates, the Pinelands Pirates is a travel softball organization that is a satellite of IMAA. Seneca War Eagles is a travel baseball organization that is a satellite of IMAA. They have a handshake agreement, as IMAA does, to use the Dingletown complex. And there is a fee collected for every non-Shamong player on those teams. In 2025 season, there are 85 baseball players between the ages of 8 and 16 for the War Eagles. The Pirates have 54 players. Rec softball had 54 players, and rec baseball had 106 players this spring. The fields are equitably distributed between the travel baseball and rec baseball. There are set nights between both organizations for them to use the fields. Same thing with softball. So we've seen it and governed it as a equitable distribution of field time.
Okay. Are you pretty much the arbiter of who gets to use the fields and when?
No,
By arbiter, what do you mean?
I mean,
We're the
the-
final judge and jury, the five
Yeah,
IMA
the
people.
schedule and figure out who can get the fields when they want them.
We've outlined it by governing it in the past through the distribution of set nights. But if someone comes through to the township, we've had communication through the township administrator of outside organizations requesting to use the fields. If it's disruptive to the in-town programs, we do not permit them. If there's no disruption to in-town programs, we will consider it.
Okay. Maybe what we should do at this point is have everybody sit down at a meeting and we can flush things out, what the issues are, and sit and talk about it and figure out what you guys need. I know you've come before us and said you would like some additional support there. I went through and I didn't like what I saw that as far as and I'm saying it's not your problem, but it's not your fault. But having an electric room that's open, that has high capacity electricity in there, somebody could get.
As well as the defibrillator.
Yeah, so there's some issues, and maybe what we should just do is sit down, and you can sit down with Mr. Sweet and Ms. McGarvey, and I'll be happy to come with you. And I'm concerned about if this money is coming in, where is it going? Who, the taxpayers are funding the field. I understand the fields were in somewhat of a disarray. Somebody was using the equipment wrong and messing up the clay. And I don't know anything because I haven't seen that, and I'm not an expert in that area, but it's something that maybe we could sit down and talk about. And
I would say any volunteer that wants to get involved with helping out on those fields, welcome to the party.
yeah,
It's
so that was
an ongoing
I
daily
talked
thing.
about Mayor Chevalier earlier.
I had the
He-
privilege of knowing him.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he spent a lot of time doing that. In fact, I got involved in 4-year-old soccer because of him, and he and unfortunately, a lot of people don't volunteer like they used to.
well, that brings me to a point that she brought up about elections.
you.
Well, it's accurate that IMA has not actually had formal elections in recent years. You have to understand what the underlying cause of that actually is.
Somebody's got to run.
Nobody's knocking down the door
Right.
to take on a leadership role.
Right.
We're begging commissioners to
It's
show up
actually-
for youth sports.
Yeah, it's persistent and well documented. Last year I gave up the baseball commissioner and I literally had to say there's not gonna be any baseball if nobody steps up. I put it out, put it out, put it out, put it out. Finally, Jessica Best stepped up. So we're in a situation where the individuals currently serving have continued their roles out of necessity, not because we're trying to violate bylaws and stay in as long as we can for a 20-year term on IMAA. I have a daughter who plays rec. My son's aged out of it. Many of us have served beyond our original terms, basically to ensure that the programs continue to function and offer opportunities. We're not in it for anything else besides make like the kids opportunities and letting them play for our local youth. And despite support from community and township, we have done the best to operate in good faith. So sure, we would love to have elections. We would love to have that many people come out where we'd actually have to hold elections. So there's that on the official elections.
Yeah, I understand that. And it's easy for people to throw stones that don't get involved. And, often you have a thankless job. So, that I want to recognize. And anybody's here that's interested that could volunteer their time.
We'd
that
have to
would-
vote on it though.
We'd have a vote. Anything further?
Yeah, well, so Heather and, I'm sorry, Jim? They're here, they were talking on part of the Shamong Township Rec Athletic
Advisory committee.
Advisory Committee. But isn't there 3 other members that were not part of that meeting or never were ever part of a meeting?
Yeah, that I don't know who was at the meeting, but there are
There
3
was
other
a meeting.
members.
This is my 5th year on the IMA board, and I've never met with anybody from STRAC.
Gotcha.
So I'm
Like,
not
go
sure
back
if
to your
2
point.
of them are coming and the 3 were in the dark about what's going on.
Yeah.
I was
Okay,
on the committee,
got it.
so.
Okay. Identify yourself for the record. Hi, Rick.
15 Nanacoke,
Nice to see you.
IMA. Yeah, there was a lot of accusations from the Strat committee, which I'm on. So there was never any communications. Anything that was requested through the Strat was not, because I didn't request anything. So there are meetings. I'd like to be involved. I know I'm involved in the voting when there's when there's out of town events come up and want to use the fields. There's an email group. We all vote. People sometimes have questions. Those questions are answered. We usually we vote and that's it. Everything that's been mentioned from the Strat perspective, I have not been involved with.
So I'm assuming that the complaint from Ms. McGarvey is that it's a resident complaint, because it can't be officially from the Strat because the entire committee was not involved. Is that assumption correct?
I don't know. I don't know what went on.
All right, is that assumption correct?
Actually, if you look at the letter, it states clearly that it's from the 2 resident advisors. And Mr.
Who made you resident advisors?
At the reorg,
So then what are these guys?
they are the IMAA representatives of Strat,
And then Brian Woods is on it, correct?
and then account number, yeah.
Okay, so, okay.
We didn't
So
have
it's
a-
coming
let's
from
do-
resident.
Yeah, excuse me. Hold it. Let's do this. Let's get together. We'll have a meeting and we'll sort this out together rather than get into it here where nobody knows really quite what the issues are at this point. Fair enough?
Can we receive a copy of this letter? For
Sure.
you?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope,
Not at
All
the
right.
moment.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys
Thank you for your
as
support out
well.
there.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else have anything they want to say? Please come forward. If not, we'll jump into our, thank you, Judy, jump into our meeting. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we're going to close this portion of the public meeting and go on with items for discussion, the approval of the minutes of the June 3rd, 2025 regular and executive session committee meeting. Good to see you guys.
You just have a hold off on the count
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Thank you.
See you, Bob. Thank you. Hey, Jim, thank you.
He looks completely, you know, I mean, not that I recognize it, but it took me a minute.
John, I should have called on you earlier. You could have had an audience. Thank you, guys. Okay, after a short delay where we let our community members file out, I'm glad you guys are staying. We're going to start with the approval of the minutes of the June 3rd, 2025 regular and executive session meeting. If anyone's had the opportunity to review it, can we have a motion?
Go ahead. I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Macedas?
Yes.
Mr. Croce?
Yes, next is the 2025 budget adoption. The public hearing was held on June 3rd, 2025, and resolution 2025 R-59 was the budget adoption. Everybody had an opportunity to review that.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Macedas?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Croce?
Yes, next is the Route 206 road work, which is scheduled to be completed by August 29th, 2025. And you may feel that all the roads around Shamong are getting closed. We got the bridge closed on Jackson. It closed Hopewell for a while. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. Let's do it all at one time. In any event, they looked at it, it'll be done by the end of August, and we'll see how that plays out. I understand that the lines in front of Piccadilly were painted double lines, and then they were single lines.
And now they're back to double
They're
line.
back to double lines, so, okay. So we don't need a motion on that. Borough Code GIF Fund Commissioner Report was presented on June 17th, 2025. Can you give us any highlights on that, Sue?
Sure, we continue to have zero lost time here in Shamong Township, which is great news. The personal policy procedure manual biannual review is this year. It's due November 1st, so Lisa and I'll be working on that in the next month or so. Managers and supervisors training is due by November 1st as well. Several members of the township staff have been already received that training. There's also doing a cyber test on our network over the next week or two, from what we understand. So we're waiting to hear the outcome of that. And our next meeting for that is at 3 o'clock on June 17th.
Okay, great, thank you. Next is a review of the candidates for a Public Works Equipment Operator position. As you may know, that we have 3 people on our work crew. One has recently left, and we're now actively looking at various candidates. Can you give us an update on what you've learned?
Yes, we interviewed several. Couple of the candidates we did not interview because they had addresses of down by the shore, for instance, and knowing that there's emergency, we would need them. And honestly, we did have some good candidates that we could review from that were more local. And can you grab that? It's on my desk. I want to get his name right. I forgot to forget it. So after Steve and I went through and did the interviews, there's one gentleman who stood out a little bit above the others. He's currently working for, I believe it's East Hampton. His name's Keith. And I talked to him on the phone earlier this week. He has the required CDL licensing and he has all the experience because he's already working for another municipality. Similar to when we hired Mr. Abrams. So he checks all those boxes. He is available within 2 weeks and understands that he would have to meet some background checks and so forth, like any of our staff does. But he is willing to take the position for the $25 an hour, which is what we were paying Mr. Abrams. He comes to us with a good bit of experience as well. He lives relatively close by. I don't remember. I think he had like a 20-minute commute, which is what Mr. Abrams had. He's aware that this community has to be his priority. If there's a large storm or a forest fire or something like that would happen, just like Steve, who is our foreman, he lives over in Acco, so he still makes it in for those things too. So that's probably about the same commuting distance. So either way, it's doable. Unfortunately, we could find somebody that lives in town, but
Were there any applicants from Shamong?
no.
Okay. All right.
Yes, his name is Keith Harrison, and he lives in Southampton, so he's pretty close.
Okay, is that your recommendation?
Yes, yeah, Steve and I met with him, and Steve was good with that as well. And like I said, I did speak with him earlier this week to make sure he was willing, that the salary was okay and his start date was fine, and we'd like to have him start as soon as possible, but we just need to make sure he gets all of his background screenings and all done first.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board?
I'd like to also add that the town that he works for right now is a JIF town, so we will verify he's up to date, but any new hire usually spends a day or so sitting in front of a video monitor, and so we will review and make sure he doesn't have anything missing, but we should eliminate a lot of that as well.
Great, okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? You need a motion on that?
We do, and it would, again, the motion would be to hire, his name is Keith Harrison, to be an equipment operator at $25 an hour. And his start date would be as soon as possible, and probably be in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, great.
I'll make a motion to approve hiring Keith Harrison.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Goodrich?
Yes, next is Davis Physical Therapy and Sports Rehab LLC, a direct care program.
Yeah, I was reached out to by one of our residents who had been, I don't know if he's been up to Davis Physical Therapy up in Medford. They do a great job. I know family members and friends have been there, but they're doing a program right now where they have a direct care partnership. And what that would be is if somebody has ongoing leg problems, bad knee, bad back, whatever, they could go to them and after the physical therapy expires on our insurance coverage, then it would be a discounted rate, but we would be paying out of pocket to keep our staff there. And it could also just be for those that are sedentary, that they would go up there for stretching, or those that are in physical jobs, they would be able to go on and do some like maintenance work there, so to speak. I did not get any quotes for that because it's an additional charge and something we haven't budgeted for. So I wanted to find out first, is there a desire for me to look forward on this? Or is this something that you're concerned because it's going to be an extra expense? And we know that we're going to have an extra expense next year because health benefits are supposed to be going up 26%. I'm looking around to see what our options are. So this would be something that we haven't previously budgeted for.
So on our insurance, if the insurance says you can't have any more treatment, this would be an option. And then
Yeah.
so I would say that our insurance, from what I've seen, is pretty darn good, and people can get the services they need. So personally, I don't think, from what I've seen, that was something that we would want to authorize and have additional expense at this time.
That was what my concern was before I did all the legwork to try to get more information.
Should have called me first. Anybody else have any feelings about that?
I agree with you. I agree.
Okay, all right, so we'll table that. Next is T-Mobile.
Yeah, as you know, I'm retiring at the end of the year, so one of the things that occurred to me is I keep a work phone at my expense, and the township reimburses me $25 a month. So my suggestion is, T-Mobile has a program, they'll upgrade the phone and take over the same number, and then that would become a township number, so that when I retire, we just hand the phone over to Lisa and she would have that. It's at like $26, $27. We're not talking a huge increase, but it's important for a couple matters. It's continue, there's a lot of people that call that number that know this is Shamong Township and it's me. So it keeps the continuity that way. We keep the number with the township. Second, Oprah. The reason I did this in the beginning was all my phone records can be pulled at any time. So now they're pulling on my work phone and not my grandchildren's pictures on my phone.
Right.
I would rather not have that out there. So we also have that happening with our public works, because years ago, Burlington County changed our radio system, which we used to be able to talk across the entire community with, and now we can't. So our staff is constantly on the phone with each other because that's the best way we can communicate with our public works. And it's a very reliable means. Because of that, if there's something askew in town, whether it's a tree down, something we need to get the engineer involved with, or a zoning issue, our public works goes out and does the first drive by and pictures to get things documented. So that's on their personal phones.
Got it. So this is something we're already paying for?
We're already paying for it.
All right.
And it's
Anybody-
not that big of an increase, but I'd like to look into doing that for the staff instead of, it's kind of a pain in the butt for the staff to carry two phones. I've been doing it for quite some time, but that was my choice. But I think in light of stepping down, it makes more sense to do this.
Okay, I agree. Anybody have any questions or comments? And
Do
if,
we need a motion on that?
How's the
There's a
T-Mobile
contract
service
there.
around here?
that's a good,
Is that-
Neil has a good question.
How's the T-Mobile service?
Fine, I have a T-Mobile
Yeah.
phone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Has anybody else noticed that the service has gone down since we've got our new tower?
Yeah.
yeah.
Judge Bookbinder, I ran into him and he said, "How's that? Did you get the tower?" I said, "Yes." I go, "I only have one bar now."
Yeah.
So have they turned that on yet, or?
No, they haven't. We're waiting
Okay.
for Langston Electric to give them power, and I think the mayor and I have had a conversation, and my personal theory is I kind of wonder, they direct these towers to cover the area. So when, they probably thought the new tower was going online. So they redirected the other towers to cover other areas. We just received an application in for T-Mobile, so we'll have Verizon and T-Mobile on that tower soon.
Okay, good. All right. So
Um,
we're looking into that because that's a concern. I'm getting more drop calls than I did 15 years ago. So something's up.
So it's
Making calls.
because
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
why
gonna
isn't it?
suggest that we do a motion to authorize administration to proceed with implementing a switchover basically from a reimbursement program to a direct program so that we actually have township issued.
Yeah, so that covers our public works and myself, and it really should cover the deputy clerk as well, because she's on the phone and doing stuff as well.
I think anybody you think is necessary to have we would require them or normally reimburse them. I think it's appropriate if you want to switch them over to a regular one for the do it. I will tell you that a lot of the town people that I work with, administration, managers and stuff, everybody's carrying around 2 phones. What a hassle that is. But, for the reasons that Sue stated, when you get an open request, it makes it a whole lot easier to say, this is my public phone and everything on here has to do with public business, and you don't get into a extended back and forth.
And it makes things easier for the transfer when I sit down for Lisa, because contact information is already in my phone. And people that would normally call me would just getting her, that's all.
Got it. So
I have, how many phones do we actually refund, paying for?
Right now, we are refunding 4, so it would be 5 because the deputy clerk, I really would recommend that she would have one as well.
okay. Questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Ms. Itis?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Cochi?
Yes. All right, next I'd like to jump out of line a little bit and invite John Lyons up, the Office of Emergency Management, since he's always so patient with us, and I apologize that you lost your big crowd tonight.
That's something. Yes. Thank you for bringing me up, John
Hey,
Lyons.
John, can you make sure I get a copy of that? Because I didn't get it.
I handed it to you.
Have mine.
Oh, you did have,
We
no,
did
actually,
me.
there, sitting.
My apologies that it wasn't advanced distributed. I just finished this up today. But it is the end of the quarter for second quarter, so I wanted to give my quarterly report. I wanted to start by saying that Mayor Chevalier married my wife and I in this room about 13 years ago.
Wow.
So there's a picture somewhere of us under the sign. So he was wearing his hat. I made him take it off because I said nobody's wearing a Giants hat at his wedding. That's the only thing I can't do it.
That's the only thing I didn't like him. I was a Giants
couldn't
fan
do
and what, a Mets fan, I think? Yeah,
Yankees, yeah.
yeah, Yankees. So, well, we
Yeah,
like them
yeah.
anyway.
We had a major wildfire in Shamong Township in the month of June. So that was the kind of the lead story I wanted to share in our report tonight. Crested about over 6,400 acres. When it's all done, it'll be higher than that. It's still burning. Even after tonight, probably it'll continue to burn. This was on Friday, June the 13th, and it continued on official reports through to Wednesday, the 18th. I was invited into the command post down at the forestry down at Outside Mansion, which I appreciated, and worked shoulder to shoulder with the Forest Fire Service, Burlington County Fire Departments. They had their coordinator there, Burlington County OEM, state. There were literally hundreds of firefighters all across town doing structural protection and fighting the fire in the woods. We evacuated the detention center, which I had reported. There were all sorts of resource requests coming through. My office helped to coordinate feeding all the volunteers. It was actually almost an oversight. I got a call from our chief and he said, you got a couple hundred volunteers out here that have been on scene for hours. And I had to I gave a phone call too, and I'll include it in my proclamation request that American Red Cross took care of everybody, and they responded to my call immediately. Actually went out in the field with me to make sure that all of the teams were taken care of. So
That's great.
they did a great job for us there. I have not yet submitted it. I wanted it for tonight. There wasn't enough time. I'm putting together a request for proclamation so we can put together a document that just, I know we've done this before for structure fires and such, but I want to get a complete list of all the agencies that responded, and hopefully for next month's agenda, we can just read that into the record, and I will get you that list so we can put that together. It was a close call, this particular one, I have to say. It's first time in my tenure in this job that I was drafting evacuation orders and a few other concerns that I had so that they'd be ready to go should we need to do them. And thankfully, the Forest Fire Service did an amazing job, as well as all the structural protection. First, they took care of all the homes along Fork Neck Road.
Then they moved down to Fawn Lake in the village there, and they were just, like I said, just from all across the county and out of the county as well. I got a lot of calls that day from farm owners, homeowners, just scared, wanting to know, when do I know, how does evacuation, whether like just people wanted to know what was going on. So I had a lot of one-on-one conversations, but we put out some Facebook posts about Civic Ready and our alerts and how an evacuation order would unfold and how, and what I personally would do and how we would contact people. And the subscription rate shot up tremendously over the week period after that. And it normally does after we have a local emergency like that, which is good because it shows me that people are paying attention. They want to know how they can stay better informed, better prepared. And quite a few people checked in to make sure that they were on our notification list. So they would have received a phone call from me. We did do a reverse 911 call, as well as numerous email and text updates during the course of the incident. So if anybody has any feedback for me on the communication or the public facing aspect of it, I would love to hear your,
Yeah, I think
your
that's a
personal
great
experiences
plan.
on that.
And I appreciate you calling me straight away
Yeah.
as that was unfolding and keeping me in the loop.
I think we had offers for your farm to house. I mean, I was talking with Deborah over at Suffolk. I got Main View on the line. I mean, just everybody wanted to know.
transport horse.
Well, there was a combination. It
Yeah,
started
that's
out with what can I do to help, then it became where do I need to go if I have to get out
Right.
of here? So my personal to do is to follow up with some of the larger farms just to make sure that they have their own personal plans that are not just to relocate across the street. I had a couple of homeowners that moved their horses from one side of Fork Neck to the other.
We were getting
If-
tags
if
ready.
we
so
had
we
done
could
an
tag- we could tag
evacuation, it would
animals,
have been
so
all
they
the way
came
to
the farm,
206.
we know where they were.
So, I mean, think about what you would do. Where would you go?
Oh, mine would be roasted.
So there's a lot of folks that.
Come on, they're
Got a lot of
it's
people.
cattle. They're already getting roasted.
At previous meeting, we submitted for your signature the emergency operations plan. It has since been approved by the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management, and it is good for 2 years. So thank you all for your support and help on that. Actually had a shelter planning meeting about 2 weeks before the fire with Red Cross and the Memorial School, just to kind of brush up our plans. It's part of our exercise that we do from time to time, make sure that the school's aware of their responsibilities. We look at the facility again and make sure if we need to use it for any type of sheltering purposes, that they're prepared to work with us, and they're wide open doors. Red Cross was great again. So that conversation just continues to stay ongoing. And as long as we're in touch with one another, I'm confident that we're in a good shape for that. And we activated the Emergency Operations Center on June 19th for severe weather. The weather that night was not as bad as the one tonight. So just shows you when you read the weather forecast, you can never be too sure about things.
You got an emergency alert tonight, did you not?
Tonight I did.
Yeah.
And actually, I got a call as I let you know before the meeting. I got a call from the state asking if everything was okay in Shamong. It's the first time that's happened.
That's wild.
They saw something on the radar they didn't like, and they were expecting to get bad news from me. And
Yeah, I was
thankfully-
walking out of my office looking over a log camp, and there was a funnel cloud there. It wasn't moving, but it was
Yeah, so there was
really,
no touchdown or rotation or
that's
any
good.
other straight line winds that I'm aware of. We had no falls in town tonight. I spoke to a number of our agency leads just to give everybody a heads up, but thankfully, we caught a good one on that. On the CERT program, just a quick update on that. They were over the last quarter deployed to assist with both Tabernacle and Shamong Memorial Day events, assisted in the rabies clinic in April. We had tremendous feedback on that. Just great job by your team as well. Thanks for that. And we will be deploying tomorrow night to support Medford and their fireworks. These are all just great practice and interactions for us. On the fire company, specifically, the chief's report was submitted separately. Specifically on the night of the fire, we provided structural protection not only to the areas that I described, but they were involved in the evacuation and protection of the detention facility in the woods. So Indian Mills was prominent on that. Our own chief was actually one of the division leaders of that area, so he commanded all the resources that were protecting that structure with no issues. We met with the leadership of that facility the next morning. There was a couple of alarms that went off. You know, you would have thought they would have went off the night before with all that, but no issues and then they were able to reoccupy that. There was a structure fire in Rutherden Road as well this particular month. It was contained to a tractor and some outside damage to the home. And on your agenda tonight, we appreciate your support. We've applied for a raffle license for the fire companies. First time we've done this. It was a learning experience for me. I want to thank Sue and her office for helping guide us through that process. We have the state license granted. We're now looking at the event level raffle tickets, which you'll approve tonight, hopefully, and then we'll submit those to the state. Our intention is to have some fundraisers in the October fire prevention timeframe. We have support from Valenzanos to possibly have opportunity to sell at Winefest. which opens up our audience for ticket sales tremendously.
Mm.
We're hoping to use that to leverage some of the shortfalls that we've been dealing with, that we've worked with you all year on. So that's our new strategy, hopeful for bringing in some revenue in that area. So if there's any questions on that,
How did you do in the coin drop this year?
About the same as normally we did. We had a really good day. We were there till about 1:30. We were gonna go till 4. We did a shift change. Probably around 3 o'clock, we called it for the day. It was just too hot. Our folks were just worn out. But same amount we've typically made, which is good. From around the $3,500 mark. It's a long day. Appreciate your help and support coming out and shaking hands and collecting
I
coins.
was able to get a couple 20s for you.
We had a few 20s. We did. Yeah, that's everything I have on my agenda. Any questions for me? Again, apologize I didn't get this out ahead of time.
That's quite all right, John. We appreciate what you did, and please let your members know that we're appreciative of everything that they've done.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now moving on. Boy, we're making a lot of progress for having so many people here. We're going to move to the resolutions 2025 R-61, which is a resolution of the Township of Shamong requesting that the Director of the Division of Local Government Services grant permission for the insertion of an item of special revenue in the 2025 budget entitled FY 2025 Clean Communities Grant, which was tabled back on 6/3/25 pending the budget adoption.
And this grant amount is for $26,020.68, and it's offset dollar for dollar as the use of the funds is restricted, so the bottom line to the budget is 0.
Okay, anybody have any questions or concerns? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2025 R-61.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, next is 2025 R-70, which grants the raffle licenses to the Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company. Just heard John speak about that.
Yeah,
Anybody?
He's got 2 different raffles going, a 50/50 and a gift basket raffle. It'll occur on October the 9th, 2025, between 6 and 9 at the fire department.
Great,
I'll make a motion.
thank you.
I'll second.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
I vote yes. Next is 2025 R-71, which authorizes the refund of permit fees.
Yes, we had a permit taken out. Trinity Solar was the company that took us out on 108 Winchester Way. The work was not done. We are able to maintain 20% fees for the state fee, and we'd like to refund by the recommendation of construction code official, $549.
Any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, no ordinances this evening.
We have one more resolution for the bond, number 72.
Okay. 2025 R-72, which authorizes the issuance of a bond anticipation note series 2025.
And we will be borrowing a total sum of $791,250. It's down from the prior year. Last year we had borrowed $995,000 even. And what will happen is last year we put the note out and they bid on the interest. We paid 4.16% last year. Hopefully we'll pay that or less this year. And we have nothing coming off of the bond this year. Next year we'll have a couple that we will retire finally. Just in time, because we'll be taking on the cost of the fire truck too.
Right.
so, which will be more than what we're taking off.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or concerns? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, no ordinances. Next, we go to the approval of the attached bill list, and a lot of sixes in this number, so it's kind of scary. $1,660,699.69. What does that buy us, Sue?
Most of it obviously always goes to the schools. It's about 1.5, I think it is, 1.4, 1.5, and then the rest of it is our overhead for the township.
So as I usually say, or oftentimes say, we run this town on about a nickel on the dollar. All that money is going to our schools. If anybody is so inclined to get involved in the school boards, we would love to have you, speak to you. It's something that we have to get control of, so we don't have another $1,000 increase like we did last year. So with that said, everybody have an opportunity to review the bills. And you want to make a motion? If not, then we don't pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Just ready to go to our
I am.
engineer and our solicitor. There's a motion pending.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Croce?
I vote yes. Next, we're going to go to reports from our professionals. Township engineer, good evening. Joe, how are you? Good.
Good. I just have a few paving project updates and a couple rec project updates. 2 years after a construction project closes, we have a maintenance bond for 2 years that covers any construction deficiencies for the period. So we're coming up on the maintenance bond expiration in October for Grassy Lake Road phases 3 and 4. So next week we'll be doing inspection of those roads and make sure that any repairs that are required, we get to the contractor ahead of time. The bond expires unless we call it. So I'll be potentially issuing a punch list to the contractor who did those 2 projects next week. That's items 4 and 5 on my report. Jumping to item 8 is phase 3 of Batside Road. We'll be sending that to DOT for bidding in July this month. We're pretty much done our design, so we'll get that to DOT, get that out to bid. That's a section that up by Medford, starts at Medford and comes south.
Perfect.
Item number 9 is the grant application for DOT for 2026. Sorry.
Success.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. That's phase 4 of Batside Road, so we're picking up the next worst section of the road, which is starting where phase 2 was on the southern end and heading north. So that grant application was due today, went in this morning, or yesterday afternoon, apologize. We usually hear November, beginning of November, end of October. I think it was October 30th actually last time. So we should, by November 1st, we should know where we stand with that grant application. Item 10, I didn't have an update in here, but we scheduled our, we have to do an inspection of the dam every 2 years. This one was 23. So next week we'll be doing that inspection again, and then we submit that to the state. Typically, we don't have many issues. Been in pretty good shape the last 2 inspections. So if we see anything, we'll obviously bring it to everyone's attention, and I'll review it too before we submit it to the state. Item 11 is the local rec improvement grant. That was the repaving of the path at Town Park. The project's complete. We submitted all the final paperwork and the maintenance bond mid-June to the township. So once that gets paid, that project will be done. And then next will be an inspection 2 years from that, about 2 years. Item 10 is the phase 2 project that we received $75,000 grant for. We're meeting on Thursday morning to review the scope of work for that project. It's likely going to be drainage improvements, some infield work on 3 of the fields, 3 of the I guess worst draining fields. And we'll see how far we can stretch the $75,000, but we'll build the scope. Thursday probably we'll finalize the scope of work and get that project going. Item 11 on page 3, top of page 3. That is the municipal parks grant application that was due the 27th. Again, we submitted for that grant, some additional drainage work, some additional field work, snack stand improvements, batting cage improvements, additional asphalt pad, should we get enough money to continue to do that after everything else is done, and also lighting for the pickleball court. So that all came to about $250,000. So we submitted that grant application on the 26th.
Okay, and all those improvements, if those grants are given to us, we'd be able to do without taxpayer funding, is that correct?
Typically, the soft costs, the engineering fees are paid from the township as a match or a contribution to the ERI, I guess.
Okay,
So,
great.
as the township's commitment to the project, it helps get the grant.
Got it, okay.
That's all I have. You can see item 12 is our maintenance bond tracking. So the only ones this year are Grassy Lake Road 3 and 4. The rest are still under their maintenance bond until at the earliest of July of that year.
Awesome. You got a lot of good news for us tonight.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right, our township solicitor, Doug, good evening.
Only bad news.
Looking dapper as usual.
I just want a couple of things. Bighorn Solar, I don't see anybody necessarily out on that particular issue tonight, but Each month I've been following up with Bighorn. We do have a meeting as requested by Bighorn with township representatives, Bighorn, and with Atlantic City Electric. They have 2 applications in. We're trying to do everything we can to try and facilitate that and the processing of those applications to hope that solar on the landfill and on Murphy's Pit become a reality, which would solve some of the other nuisance problems that we've had out there. And I would just like to add that I had the opportunity to work with John Chevallot for many years. And Mike, you have some similar qualities to him. He was the type of guy who would give you the shirt off of his back, just a very giving person. You know, I actually got to know him a little bit better, even more after he was off. And he was such an altruistic person. I think sometimes it burned him, but it never changed him. And he was a good person. So sorry to hear that he passed at such a young age.
Thank you, Doug. Yeah, I have similar comments. Okay, anybody have any questions or comments of Doug? All right, now we go to Township Administrator. Good evening, Sue, and welcome, Lisa. We're happy that you're here.
Yeah, National Night Out, John, that was totally canceled now?
John's
John?
not, John, he's sleeping. He's
Sorry.
not paying attention.
He's playing on his phone.
National Night Out, was that totally canceled now?
I understand from the message that are not gonna have one.
Okay. So we can take that off. That was previously scheduled for August the 5th. We have the Kranzer Road Memorial Service being held July 12th. There's usually a wreath laying, and I'm saying, can we pick on that up tonight? Mr. Wilkie?
You're gonna do that?
Yeah, next week.
Perfect.
Cool.
Anybody else want to be involved in that with Neil? Okay,
And
I may join you.
When is it?
That's good.
July 12th.
12th at 1 o'clock.
Saturdays.
Yeah, Carranza Memorial. It's a great event, actually.
It's fun.
If you're nice, we'll let you carry out the stretcher.
I don't
Out
know
of
if
the
I'm gonna
woods.
be here. If I'm here, I'm going. How's that?
Perfect.
And also the Burlington County Board of Health will hold a flu clinic here in this building in this room on October the 31st from 10 until noon.
Okay.
And all the other departments have their reports here. If you have any questions, let me know. Answer them I will. If not, I will get you an answer.
All right, great. Thank you, Sue. Any questions or comments of Sue?
The question for Sue, if I may, have you received anything from the Historical Society on some of the questions they've had about their event in October?
Just
The road closure.
the road closure, they're trying to close Indian Mills Road. We did a Shamong Day years ago, and I don't remember closing the road at that point in time. So I don't, it's closing Indian Mills Road is a difficult road to close. It's, you know, it's a county road, it's a main thoroughfare. And they're talking about just closing it pretty much in front of the school, but it impacts a bigger area than that. You know, they can come down to Grassy Lake,
It's a long block.
and yeah, then you got a long block to go around, exactly.
Neil, do you have any comments about insight?
So I guess the reason that we were looking to close the road is because we're trying to also do a classic antique car show at the same time. And that the road seemed to be the best location to actually display the cars and also maybe get some more interest if you see the cars in that area. Kind of funnel people into the school for the craft show and the food trucks, that kind of thing. So it's just, it was more of a space concern we had, because we have, I think now 4 or 5 food trucks who are already
Nice.
online, a bunch of craft vendors, plus the normal flea market people.
Mhm.
So it's becoming a space issue for us. Now we have been, I guess of today, allowed to use the grassy areas also of the school, so we can put for vehicles. except for the vehicles again. So, you know, the fallback was to use this section of the driveway where we had the food truck last year. But again, that would only fit maybe 15 vehicles, and we don't at this point have a good, you know, the event is not till October 4th, and we're getting basically applications on a daily basis at this point because Evan's done such a great job of getting the word out for food trucks and craft vendors and everybody else.
How about
that
the
if it is
areas
growing-
where, how about the areas where the teachers park their cars right in front of the school?
Well, we also need to, right in front of the school is where we typically have the craft people. And then we were thinking about doing the food trucks as you drive into the school it'll be on the right-hand side where the
Where the horseshoe is.
where the horseshoe is, yeah.
All right, well.
But we also need to have parking.
Had a position or a preference on
that size, that impact for that duration.
Is it possible?
Being guiding says a dialogue.
Is it possible to close a portion of the road, like half the road, and
It's
Well,
possible.
move
The
to-
Question is the impact of the community.
Right.
The committee's perspective on whether it would approve something like that or not, since it's not an emergency situation. It's not something I would make a declaration on. It would require a county approval permit. We've done that with the turkey trot, but that was more of a notification of pedestrians in the roadway. We actually don't close Grassy Lake for an hour. It's from 9 to 4.
Yeah.
So I'm looking really just to get a little bit of direction on township's perspective.
I
have
think-
no opinions about.
I think next week we're gonna go out with an aerial map and see, physically measure out locations of the school property to figure out what we can do. And I think that that point we'll have a better handle on where things are gonna be.
And they're not letting you park anything on the grassy area, is that what you're saying?
They won't let us park in the grassy area, but we can have the
We can
vendors on
tents
the
there.
grassy, we can have the vendors tents and that kind of thing on the grass.
Well, Neil, you can use my office for overflow parking and
Right.
we'll have Megan put a little bus. She can bus them back
Yeah.
and forth.
Horse and carriage.
Tractor, that's good.
Horse and carriage.
Very good. All right, you're very welcome. Let's see, are we gonna go in we're gonna open the meeting up to public comment. Anybody has any other questions or comments they'd like to make? Come on up. Seeing and hearing none, we're gonna close the meeting to the public comment. Do we need to go into executive session this evening?
We do.
Okay, we have to go into executive session on one or two matters. The way that works is we'll come back out. If we're gonna take any action, we'll advise you, anybody that wants to hang around. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's a half hour. So you're welcome to stay, but you don't need to. And we appreciate you all coming out for your interest in the town.
Do we
Okay,
need
we have a
motion on the resolution?
motion to go into executive session.
I will make the motion to go into executive session.
I will second it.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yeah.
We will probably.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Cochi?
Yes, all that in less than an hour and a half. Okay, we're back on the record after our executive session, and I'll ask our solicitor for a recap of what we discussed.
So we just had a brief discussion of potential tax lien foreclosures where the township holds a municipal tax lien. And we've received direction from the governing body in accord with that, and we will take the next steps. Ultimately, that will lead to a resolution authorizing the formal filing of a tax lien foreclosure action, and that will be done at a future public meeting.
Thank you. Anybody have anything further, comments, questions? If not, can we have a motion to, what is it? Go home?
Adjourn.
If nobody makes the motion, we don't.
We all stay here.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye. Lisa and Sue, thank you very much for getting us back online. That was great. And we have